So I'm Bruce Boyer, your candidate for Congress, and I'm here with Jonathan today. Jonathan, what happened with you and Paul Kessler?
Bruce, the first thing I want to tell you is Paul and I were surveilled and stalked right outside of Paul Martin's by the actual man that threw the blow, and I'll call him the murderer.
Paul Martin's is the
restaurant across the street.
Thank you, for those that don't live here.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. There was promenade security closely watching what was going on, but as they're watching Paul, myself, and these other two people just sitting on a bench, they're allowing, I don't know how many cars to park in that parking lot, and the same as the week before. So they're basically given a free license for people to come in there and create this mayhem.
Let me interject so that folks know that property, I understand, is managed by Caruso Management, and their security is a company called Universal. Go ahead, Jonathan.
They kept looking to see when the crowd was going to arrive. At approximately 2:30, 2:40, Paul and I left there to walk across the street right back here, right where we're standing. I had a friend that was parked right behind that bush, right in front of the Montecito Bank and Trust, and he was bringing me the flags that we were carrying.
So let me pause. So you came kitty corner across the intersection to the Shell station.
Correct.
All right, go ahead, please.
Walked behind the Shell station to meet my friend here, who was trying to just stay out of the public view.
All right.
We picked up the flags from him, and then Paul and I proceeded to this corner, right in front of the Shell station here, where this memorial is right now.
Right.
At this point, it's probably 2:45.
Okay.
Start to see the people that were watching us with their iPhones moving from the benches by Paul Martin's. They were wheeling some things that I later was able to identify as a public address system and a generator.
Okay.
They wheeled those out, and now it's about 2:50. They set it up and they start an audio sound check. As soon as I heard Allahu Akbar, God is great, death to Israel.
And that's right here in the streets, on the streets in Thousand Oaks, California on a Sunday afternoon.
That is correct.
Go ahead, Jonathan.
Same as last week. There was no differentiation from the week before. I said to Paul at that time, we need to spread out. Look how many people are coming.
How many people were coming, would you estimate?
Probably 50 to 60 at that point. And they were, maybe 15 to a corner.
And these weren't, let me guess, probably not a bunch of kindergartners on a school outing, were they?
No, these were adults, could be contemporaries of ours, a lot of students.
Okay.
In their late teens, early 20s. There were professional people there. Could have been doctors and lawyers and realtors and all kinds of people.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, please.
I asked Paul to give me the Israeli flag so I could cross the street over in front of the white building at 100 Southwest Lake Boulevard. We had discussed this before about who was going to hold the Israeli flag, and Paul insisted that he wanted to do that. Paul had the heart of a lion, heart of David.
Yes.
And I said, stand in this crosswalk, keep the flag up high so I can identify you in a crowd, and I'm going to be on the opposite corner. So we're 70, 50, 65, 70 feet apart at the most.
Yep.
I had a very clear view of him, and I was able to easily identify him by the flag. Just see the flag, look down. The fellow that struck the fatal blow with the megaphone is now standing directly behind me with his megaphone about this close to my ear. And when the chant was called from the PA system. It gets echoed by the people with the megaphones.
Yes.
And so in my ear, my right ear, I'm hearing exactly in real time at, probably something like 130 decibels directly into my ear. I turned around and I used my best four-letter language, and I told this guy to back up. He stopped for a second. Next chant came, did it again. This time I turned around, I looked directly at him, I said, you know what, I'm going to tell you exactly what I said. You need to back the fuck up, right now. Mm-hmm. He backed up. Happened one more time. I said it again. A little bit more forceful, and he says to me, you look thirsty. Would you like some water? Maybe something to eat? And I said, you're breathing my air. Get the fuck away from me. Mm-hmm. He looked at the man that he was with, and they looked at each other and they said, let's go. Now they walked across the street. As they start walking across the street, my friend who gave us the flags had some body cams. He's now coming towards, my friend is coming towards me as they're going the other way. He's capturing them on film as they pass each other. He puts the body cam on me. He advises me that you're live, be careful what you say, and watch what you do. And I said, okay. It couldn't have been less than a minute. And I said, hey John, there's a punch that was just thrown over there. And he turned around and he ran across the street. I saw the megaphone come flying across and connect. I knew it was the megaphone. It was a big white megaphone with a red mouthpiece on it, and it had a long lanyard, about as long as my arm. So it was easy to, I just was looking at the right time, Bruce. There is absolutely zero question in my mind that I saw this megaphone come flying across. The problem is that I couldn't see Paul Kessler's face at that time.
Because there's a crowd of people.
There's a crowd of people. Flag, megaphone.
I own one of those megaphones. They're available at Harbor Freight. They got a lot of heft.
Okay. At this point now, we start to hear sirens coming. The sheriffs showed up. 5 or 6 sheriff's SUVs. They're parking all along the corner. And now you can hear from very far away the fire truck coming, and then the ambulance coming. They're tending to Paul Kessler on the ground, and a woman crosses the street. And she's standing behind me, and she's talking to 2 young men that were standing with me, or behind me. They're pro-Palestinian supporters, but there's 2 young men, nice-looking guys, and look to be maybe early 20s. Could even be as young as 19 years old.
Right.
And she's talking to them in a very motherly tone, and she looks like she could be their mother. And I turned around and I said, "Hey, what happened over there?" Didn't answer me. Said, "I asked you what happened over there." And she said, "Oh, some old lady fell." And I said, "An old lady, huh? Okay. Well, Paul told me he recruited a lady named Millie. I have the text that Millie was coming. So as far as I know, I now see the flag laying on the floor. I don't see Paul. She said an old lady. So I'm thinking Paul's tending to Millie. The paramedics are here. It's handled."
Right.
Okay. It was probably maybe 20, 25 minutes later. This is all still going on. Right. Cops are on the corner. Nobody's making any overt moves to do anything with the police there in terms of getting in anybody's face or being physical. But when the police start to wrap up and the fire department leaves and the ambulance is gone, the crowd started to thin out a little bit. So I decided to walk across the street to this corner here. I was still in front of the 100 Southwest Lake Boulevard building. I see my friend that gave me the flags. And I said, hey, where's Paul? And he said, oh, he's in the ambulance. He said, and I said, what? He said, it's your buddy that they took to the hospital. And I said, oh my God, I was told it was a woman. And I said, I gotta go over to Los Robles.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
he drove me to my car. My friend drove me to my car. I sped over to Los Robles and I went into the ER. Somebody came out to say, how can I help you? And I said, I'm here to find a friend that was just brought in. He was hurt at a protest in Westlake Village. What's his name? His name is Paul. What's his last name? I said, I'm ashamed to tell you I don't know his last name. And she said, hold on. So she starts looking down the computer roster and she says, wait here, I'll be right back. She goes in the back and she comes out and she said to me, well, I thought his last name started with an M, so I said Paul M. She comes back out and she said to me, okay, I found him. He's back there. He's with the doctors. The sheriffs are back there. The sheriffs want to talk to you. And I said, okay. So I'm waiting around. I waited about 25 or 30 minutes. I said, could you do me a favor, please? Can you go back and ask the sheriffs how long they're going to be? Or can I leave my information? I'll let you take a picture of my driver's license. I'll give you my phone number.
Because at this point, you have no idea what extent of any injuries or anything. You don't know if he tripped or had a heart attack.
No.
Yeah.
No, as a matter of fact, Bruce, I even texted him. I can show you that. I said, Paul, I'm at the Los Robles. I just realized that this was you that got to the hospital. And I'm thinking, I didn't hear a response from him. So I'm thinking, they're treating him.
Yeah.
They took his phone away.
Yeah.
Maybe his wife is there.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But they gave me nothing. I went home. And I couldn't get any information that night. But I was calling. I mean, when we get his phone back, you'll see how many times I
Right.
called and texted.
You're a friend.
Trying to, I mean, and the funny thing is, we've only known each other about 2.5 weeks.
You did it. You were his friend.
I know that. Thank you for saying that. The next morning, I was driving home. I decided I'm going to pass by here. I was at Starbucks by CVS on Agora Road.
Yeah.
I'm coming by here. I don't know why I came by here. But it looked, there was construction going on in the front of the gas station. There was a big white truck, which I later know to be like a CSI investigation truck now.
Yeah.
And they had some equipment set up in the street, some looked like white globes on tripods. So I pulled in, and I pulled around to the van. I saw the sheriff's deputies standing there. I said, excuse me, are you guys here by chance investigating what happened yesterday? Yes, we are, sir. I said, you're going to want to talk to me. And he said, who are you? And I said, my name is Jonathan Oswaks. I was the eyewitness to this. And he said, let me get your information. And he said, somebody will be calling you right away. I went home. As he said, somebody will be calling me right away. I got the call. I went through all the details with Detective Eisenhart. But I still don't know that Paul is gone. A few minutes later, another friend sends me a text. The first text says, how is your friend? And I know the person that's texting me. And I said, I don't know yet. Couldn't have been 30 to 45 seconds later, he sends me another text, and he said, please God, tell me this isn't true. He had he copy-pasted a text that someone sent him that was running around on Nextdoor that said that Paul had died. And I said, he's dead. I'm going to tell you something right now. As sure as you and I are standing here, it still hasn't connected with me.
No, and it isn't going to completely. It's going to be a long time to totally process this.
And I got in my car and I went over to the synagogue, and I asked to speak to the rabbi. I haven't been in synagogue in 23 years. 23 years. But that Friday, the Friday before, so 2 days before this incident, I showed up at the synagogue, and the rabbi comes over and he introduces himself. He said, "Hi, I'm Rabbi Ari Averbach." I said, "Hi, I'm Jonathan Oswaks." We shook hands. I said, "I used to be a member here 23 years ago." And he said, "What brings you here?" And I said, "I really don't know. But I know what brought me there. I had a gun pulled on me the week before at the prior rally. By the way, the police showed up. They said, who was it?" And I said, "I have a picture of him." "Well, where is he?" And I said, "You got to be joking me. You don't know how this works?"
And this was Ventura County Sheriff's.
Yes.
Thank you.
I was talking to a supervisor. He had a little blue thing on his epaulette. And I said, you don't understand how this works, do you?" And he goes, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "They're on four corners. They change their look as they move to the next corner. So if somebody's hood was up and his mask was up, when he goes to the next corner, he might pull the hood down, possibly put a mask up, or put it there's so many permutations of..."
Exactly.
Yeah. And
that's why they all dress alike.
And he said, so who is it?" And I said, "Well, I have a picture, so line them up. I'll take my phone, I'll walk down the line, and I'll pick them out." Mm-hmm. And he said, "I can't violate their Fourth Amendment rights." And I said, "Fuck their Fourth Amendment rights. Somebody showed a gun to me at a public demonstration. I think that's a felony in the state of California."
Yes, it is.
And he said, "Oh, you're a lawyer?" And I said, "No, I'm not a lawyer, but Paul, who also witnessed this, Paul witnessed the gun. Paul said, 'Well, I know something about the law. I was a pre-law student. I'm not a lawyer.'" "Well, you're a pre-law student." And he kind of mocked him.
I think our law enforcement knows the laws, and we as citizens are required to know the laws. Ignorance is no excuse.
As of November 12th, no charges have been filed in this case. Apparently, the witnesses for the pro-Palestinian and pro-Israeli groups are telling opposite stories of what happened, and now the sheriff has to figure out who is lying and who is telling the truth.